Welcome, everybody, to ESPN ESPORTS on Twitch. This is the Rift Rewind, our ESPN League of Legends program. Thank you so much for joining us on a day where we have absolutely nothing to talk about. Arda, Emily, Tyler, and Jacob with you. Jacob, welcome back. You're nice and settled. You moved to Austin, Texas. You got some books behind you. It's coming along nicely. It's coming along nicely.
I got a plant. I got my esports award. I'm chilling.
Very nice. So, lots to talk about. Just kidding, obviously. We have so much. We actually changed the rundown based on the news that was just released today. Jacob wrote the article. The news is up at espn.com/esports. Dardoch has found a new home. The drama, at least for now, continues. But it's interesting, right? Dardoch has signed with Dignitas, has left TSM. We all know about the drama, Lena, double lift. In particular for this story, what Lena said about Dardoch publicly. There's the tweet right there. And now Dardoch joins Tyler, his 17th LCS team?
Yeah. Let's play Dardoch LCS Remembrance Tour here. So 2016, he started with Team Liquid with that rookie trio of Lorlo, Matt, and Dardoch, which almost made the LCS finals, unless, the double TP versus CLG kind of probably still haunts the dreams of many, Dardoch and Lorlo, so close to actually getting over the hump. Then he went to, I believe, CLG. There was the CLG tour. There was the Optic tour. There was the back to the, Team Liquid tour.
Well, Immortals at one point, too.
Immortals is the second team. Immortals with Flame, and it was supposed to be the Flame and Dardoch show, and then that didn't go through, and then he went to CLG, and then there was the Echo Fox tour, and then there was Optic, and then Immortals again. Then we went to TSM, and that was supposed to be his last chance, but it's not his last chance because now he's on Dignitas. And I'm assuredly positive if Dignitas doesn't work out, he will again find his way to one of the teams he's not been on before, because as I've stated many times when talking about Dardoch is that he is an incredible talent. Even last year on TSM, he was still one of the better junglers in the league when you look at statistically, even though his team kind of let him down outside of the early game phase. He still did decently well statistically, and he was a pretty good jungler overall. NA talent doesn't grow on trees, and we've seen this many times. I know we have 100 Thieves who are actually bringing up a lot of really good young talent like Copy and Tenacity, and there are teams like C900 Thieves who are growing the NA amateur scene and, the 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old next men up who are going to be the next stars of the LCS. But currently there's kind of a dry spot, and so that means that Dardoch, who is a really good talent and who outside of the game is actually really liked. It's not like people don't like hanging out with him. He has friends in the LCS. People like to talk to Dardoch. It's just when it comes to in-game moments, he doesn't click with teams, which allows him to get chance after chance. And I really don't blame Dignitas, right? Because what other option are you going to do? You can't import anyone. There's a global pandemic going on. He probably doesn't cost an arm and a leg. He has a great upside if it works out. But as it always is with Dardoch, there's always that great upside, and there's always that great downside if he doesn't work out. And Dignitas, like any other teams, will see if this will be the spot. Maybe this will be the spot. Who knows? Probably not, but who knows?
Emily, will it be the spot?
So I think I've been kind of a pretty big Dardoch apologist over the years. I think there are a couple of things that I'm super curious about. One, I hope he got paid well, because I think if he hadn't found a team, it would have looked even worse for the ongoing TSM saga. But so putting that aside, I'm glad that didn't affect his ability to find a team. I also think there are certain intangibles that Dardoch will always have outside of talent, like the fact that he's an NA resident, that will continue to allow him to get teams as well as his talent. When you look at him with TSM, TSM was supposed to be the last chance for a lot of reasons. And when I say last chance, I don't mean his last chance for a team, but his last chance to be on a winning, super big franchise team, I think is more when people I was actually rereading an interview I did with Josh at the beginning of the season. It's really interesting And he was pretty forthcoming, and he did talk about how like he's like, this is it, like this is my big opportunity. You know, I cannot waste this. And while he'd said that in the past, there was definitely a real sense that this was his kind of last moment to make a statement on one of the larger NA franchises. Because if you look at like the big franchises in NA, right, like that's what I think we kind of more meant by last chance. How will he do on Dignitas? I don't know. Dignitas had a lot of kind of weird issues. I mean, I think when you saw him on TSM, he was super strong early. I actually thought he was one of the best early game junglers in the LCS. And then TSM mid game, there's this very obvious argument between the two, right? So
I do have a little bit. Sorry, I have a little bit of information here that I got after I wrote the article that's on .com exclusively here on Rift Rewind. No, this is not like super big breaking stuff, but nonetheless, I do think that from what I've heard, it doesn't sound like he's for sure going to start all the time. Does sound like that they're going to like rotate him and Acadian and it sounds like they may do that for a lot. Sounds like they may do that for a lot of their positions. Maybe Johnson kind of is the exception to this, is what I've been hearing, is that like he's the only person who won't get some, or like he'll be like the stable starter for Dig in the LCS. But I think every other position, Demonte and Froggen will swap out time and time. I think Lorelo and I've also heard that they're in the market for another top laner for Academy right now. So I think that like they may pick up another player and swap them in Lorelo frequently. Lorelo will presumably be the starter to start off with Dardoch. Those two guys are well-documented friends. We're close on Team Liquid. And so we've seen them play together before. We know that they're good friends. So I definitely see a world where I think that everyone on the team, maybe with the exception of bot lane, will get some time. Like the top side of the map will be rotating depending on how they perform. So I think Dardoch will certainly like be there, and I don't know how that will work. I mean, I don't think anybody has big expectations, right? Like,
can I ask you one thing?
I mean, I think you have to have a really good team infrastructure to be able to make that work well.
Do we know what's happening? Do we know what's happening with top lane for Dignitas?
Yeah, so Lorelo is presumably the starter, is everything I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was Dignitas Academy. Huni is gone. Right. And so Huni's off the team. I think that they actually straight up cut him, which means that they paid out some large sum to do that because part of his contract was guaranteed. But yeah, so I think I'm sure Huni will find a new team this offseason in some form just because he's already in NA, he already has a visa. It's not that hard to transfer it from one organization to another. But that said, I think that Lorelo will be the starter, and that they are probably going to find another top laner to rotate out with Lorelo, who will presumably be an NA resident. Yeah,
that's interesting because if you're Dardoch, like I guess a part of you, Emily, is happy that you found a team, but then you're coming into this situation where nobody's job is safe, and you know what I mean? Like it's going to be a crapshoot every single week. You could have different rosters every single week. Like you're going to be mixing and matching different players each week. It seems very unstable.
I don't doubt that Dardoch still really wants to do well. Like I feel like people automatically fall into this thing where it's like, well, it's just lip service, whatever. Everyone always says they want to do well. Like I actually don't think anyone is lying when they're like, I really want to do well, I'm like very hungry for it. I think the thing maybe reuniting with Lorelo will help, but I think the thing that I've seen with rotating lineups, even the most successful ones, to which I'd probably point to Royal Never Give Up in 2018 for most of the year, and then the San Francisco Shock last year. It requires like a really steady, stable team infrastructure coming from the top down, making sure that all of these very hungry, talented players are not getting hurt because they're quote unquote benched, right? Like I think it's a very difficult thing to do. And I think it's a very difficult thing to do for more than like, I don't think we've even seen it be successful in esports for more than like a year, if that.
I also just want to, can I address what Chad is saying, like what will happen with Huni? I don't think he's going to carry that contract baggage with him anymore wherever he ends up. It sounds like based off what I know, like he'll sign a new contract wherever he lands. So which will presumably be less than the $2.3 million deal he signed previously. I think that Dignitas paid out a significant portion of that deal. So yeah, I think that's where we're at right now.
We're comparing apples and oranges when it comes to the rotating roster. This is actually what Dignitas should be doing. Let's not pretend here that this Dignitas lineup, if they had 5 starters who were confirmed playing throughout, this team isn't winning Worlds. They're not going to Worlds more than likely unless a miracle happens. So what should they be doing? As a smart team, and this is what we've been saying forever when it comes to franchising, is that you're franchised. You're not losing your spot. Be able to play flexible, be able to adapt, be able to check out new talent. And I think this is perfectly fine. Dignitas just cut their franchise player, and they probably spent a lot of money just to, get him to go away. So they're not in the position to be competing for Worlds. From what Jacob is saying, they say that they're looking at Johnson as their future, which they should. He's a very good young talent, probably on a cheap contract. And then you test out the rest of the roster and you find who on this roster you bring into 2021. I think the idea of comparing them to San Francisco Shockers, saying that they want to be successful this split, is very short focused.
I mean, I'm not comparing them to them. I'm using those as examples of literally the only time this has ever worked. But
you're saying success in this function is to actually win. I don't think Dignitas should be looking to win.
I don't think I agree with you, but I don't think LCS teams see it that way, especially based on what I've seen from their roster building previously. So Dignitas can prove me wrong, but I don't ever think that an LCS team, when they're doing a rotating roster like this, isn't just okay, let's at least eke it into playoffs.
But I'm not saying they're trying to eke into playoffs. I'm saying if what Jacob's saying is correct, and that the only person that they're not rotating out is Johnson, and then they're going to be flexible of everyone else, that's intelligent. That's what they should be doing. That's what every team who's at the bottom of the table, who, you just paid out your biggest star to leave the team after you gave him a ridiculous contract that he negotiated for himself. You're not looking to eke into playoffs. You're not looking to go to Worlds. You're looking to find what pieces you take into 2021, and you have Johnson, who's confirmed, who's a very good young player, and now you find the rest. If Dardoch works out, if Dardoch and Johnson have a really good relationship, you bring Dardoch to 2021. If Lorlo has a resurgence with Dardoch, you bring them into 2021. So if Dignitas actually does what it believes, what Jacob's saying is that they're looking to find pieces around Johnson, this is exactly what they should be doing. They should not be trying to look for short-sighted.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying I haven't seen an LCS team actually have an attitude yet.
I just want to say one thing, by the way.
Okay.
I think that the goal is not even that deep for Dig. I think the goal right now is business survival. And how you do that is you don't really here's the thing, right? We have talked about this at length in previous episodes that Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment, their parent company, has noted financial problems because of what's happening in basketball, what's happening in hockey, right? We have yet to see, although there seems to be plans.
Coming back, by the way.
I was about to say,
is making a return.
I was about to say, we see the NBA and the NHL trying to take steps to allow for hockey and basketball to return, but certainly they've lost millions, tens of millions, presumably, dollars of revenue. Right? Every sports team has. And this organization owns the New Jersey Devils and the Philadelphia 76ers, two fairly successful teams in their home markets, right? So I think that at this point, it's survive and not spend a crap ton of money. They had to pay something to get rid of Hooney. He had partial guarantees in his contract, right?
Sure.
And it was a really big contract. But I think at this point, it's about survive, right? Just make it through this year, make it through coronavirus. However you got to do that. And I think that that's the most important thing for them now, rather than being the most competitive LCS team. They're not going to be.
They're forced being smart. They're forced to do being smart stuff. So
I just want to make one final point, and we have a lot to get into on this program. By the way, we're going to talk midseason cup. We're even going to do a fantasy draft surrounding the midseason cup. That's the second half of the program. Something to look forward to. To me, this sucks for Dardoch in a way. He found a team, good for him, right? But remember, last week we were talking about how he was severely limited in his options because of what was leaked by what Lena said, right? His leverage was gone. We were talking about how he was in a bad position. And it makes me wonder how many teams cooled off on him after that happened. And not only that, now he comes to a team that, like you all said, lacks identity, doesn't even know which players are going to be there. And he's this veteran player that's already been on 6 or 7 LCS teams. And now he's coming into a situation that's probably the most uncertain in the entire LCS. Like, it's not, I don't see, like, I'd love to know how he turns this into a positive. Just maybe the fact that he's playing in the LCS despite everything that happened, Emily. I don't know. I think this is a crappy situation for Dardoch.
I mean, I've said this on this program. I've said this on my LPL show. Like, I never want players to go out and do badly, right? Like, ideally, I just want to see everyone play at their best, and then whoever loses, loses, and whoever wins, wins, right?
Also, presumably, Dardoch's cost wasn't because of what happened was presumably pretty low, right? Like,
you think he took a haircut because of those comments?
I don't think he took a haircut. I think TSM took a haircut on their buyout.
Okay.
I don't think when you have an executive of your team say something like that, right? Like, and it's overheard on a hot mic, right? Like, how are you going to argue for a big buyout in any sort of regard? Like, he probably came pretty cheap.
That's really BS.
That's unfortunate.
I'm just throwing it out there. I know I ranted about this on the show, so I won't rant about it here, but that's BS. It's not fair, and someone should have stood up for him.
Well, those are our thoughts. You can feel free to continue conversation and chat. And we'll be getting questions, by the way. This is very interactive, particularly the second half when we're doing the draft. Chat's going to be very much involved. And by the way, if you like to interact with us, we do trivia every single Friday. Week 2 was last Friday. It was a ton of fun. If you want to challenge us, when I say us, I mean the other 3, not me. I'm more the Ryan Seacrest of the bunch. But if you want to challenge them at trivia.
I ran it down last week. So
you did.
I don't know what you're talking about. Running it down is bad.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant week 1. Week 1 you crushed. No. Jacob, you're back this week? Are you back with us in trivia?
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm in pre-production meetings, so presumably I am back. Yes.
All right, let's go. So Friday, you can join us. It's actually completely interactive. But let's talk about what else we have on the show. This was going to lead the show before we got the Dardoch news. The LEC has canceled the live summer final in Malmo, Sweden. That certainly is to be expected, but very interesting here is that the LEC is planning to return their production in Berlin. So what this is going to mean is that they are looking to at least bring a skeleton production crew back to Berlin. The players will still be remote, but this is all in an effort, presumably during the summer split, to try and bring back the players and bring back the press and eventually even the fans. So this is step 1 of a multi-step process where hopefully, at least for the LEC, if safe enough to do so, we could see a normal looking summer split final if all the cards aligned. So this is not new in the scheme of League of Legends, Tyler. We've seen the LPL and LCK do offline matches, but how encouraging is this that we are seeing this from the LEC?
It's encouraging. I think they're being intelligent about that. I think canceling Malmo and basically saying we're not doing a big summer final is very smart of them. I don't think trying to, hold the carrot over the fans of being like, we're going to see how it's going to go. We're going to see how it's going to go. We're going to see how it's going to go. And then, cutting it off at the knees like later on during the season would just feel really bad, especially for the people who have already tickets and stuff to the event or, plane tickets to go see the event. So I think this way, just cutting off doing it right now before the season even starts is smart. I also think going in this, very, sluggish pace is also smart, where it's like we're going to do a bare bones production team, and then eventually they're going to have maybe some of the teams come test the teams, hopefully get those teams playing in the LCK LPL environment where those 2 regions are currently, where they're playing in front of empty arenas. And maybe I wouldn't expect it. I don't think we're going to see fans in 2020 in any Western region. I'd be very surprised. But I think it's a good step, and I think showing that there is, phases to this gives fans hope, right? Because if you just said, we'll come back sometime, hopefully 2021, 2022, I think saying that we have steps to go through, so when we get to the stage where teams can actually play in a live setting, I feel the fans are going to be excited about that. And then eventually, hopefully 2021, most likely when fans are able to come back, it's going to be a big deal. So really, really good job by the LEC, and I think that, as long as everyone goes through the right steps, we're going to have a really good, process, and hopefully fans by 2021. That's my big hope.
Yeah,
So,
we have seen, by the way, Germany has issued restrictions that do not allow for large scale sporting events through August 31st is the date. That's why we saw ESL One Cologne, the major Counter-Strike event, canceled and moved online because those Angela Merkel announced those restrictions about 2.5-3 weeks ago. But we have seen, like, I know Chad's talking about this too. Like, we've seen German soccer come back without fans. So like they're like. I think the restriction is more that they can't have in-person attendees rather than actually having people there. So I mean, maybe there's a world where like we see like it has been with the UFC and WWE, right? Like where it's just like a small set of people working inside of a studio rather than sort of the large-scale fan experience. I don't think we're getting any large-scale fan experiences till 2021 for maybe anything. Right,
I
like even Worlds.
I don't think we're getting any fan experiences whatsoever.
Are you telling me that we're going to have a League of Legends island, kind of like Fight Island in the UFC?
Tencent would do that. Tencent would buy an island for that.
Yeah,
can you imagine Worlds on one island?
Yes.
That's
like, yes.
They just bring every player there.
That'd be so great. And then teams have to like, every team has their own like station on the island, and like you have to go challenge another station, like. So it's like the Rise video where Ambition climbs up the mountain, where he has to fight like perks. Like, do that in real life, where like you have to have like these nerds climb mountains to face off against better teams. And then at the top you have like the Asian teams and the European teams, and then the NA teams are way at the bottom, and they have to climb up like 100 miles to get to those teams.
I mean, my biggest thing is not even the fact that like the virus is still really terrible in parts of the world, right? Including some of the parts of the world where these leagues occur. Los Angeles is still not great, for example. But
getting actively worse.
Yeah, and my presumably thing is like visas, right? Like, what country are they going to go play in that lets all these people for Worlds? I mean, or are they going to go play in that lets all these people in, right? Like, it's just like asking for it.
I don't know. Money talks, man. China get it done. They get it done.
Teams will get to China for Worlds. I don't fear that there will be 24 teams at Worlds.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, I don't know.
I can see it. I can see it. Well,
so many unanswered.
I
mean, so many unanswered questions, right? Like epidemiologists like think there could be like a second wave of this in the fall. Like we don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen in the next couple of months, and like I don't know. I do respect though to Tyler's point. I respect the LEC at least just like not dangling the carrot and just being straight up like we're canceling it. Like no, it's not worth the risk. So.
One final point on this is that I think when we talk about Bundesliga and we talk about these other sporting events is that they have very rigid testing where it comes to like their testing. Like I know like All Elite Wrestling, you're a big wrestling fan, Jacob and Art. I think we're all wrestling fans here, but for some of the older like commentators like JR, like he's being tested like twice a day for big events. Like they're testing so regularly where I think for the LEC, it's a thing of like, yeah, sure, if they had that rigid testing and they had the capability of doing the Bundesliga testing, and I'm sure Bundesliga has, multitude more resources than the LEC, even though, it's a big league in itself. I think that we need to get to that stage where you could do the rigid, like the constant testing to do, these games.
Even in like to like kind of cap this off, like even in South Korea and China, where they do have very rigorous testing, like they haven't had audiences at all. The LPL actually did not have teams in the same location playing each other until finals. So it's not like they were playing offline at all until the LPL finals. Everything else was completely online. They just like eased the mask restrictions. I think I mentioned this previously, but like the week before LPL finals, I think. So during playoffs, the casters finally were able to cast without face masks, but for the most part, they had them on all split. Teams, even in their own gaming houses, were wearing face masks inside the gaming house. So basically what they did is they went back to their gaming houses finally after the LPL was starting back up, did a self-imposed 14-day quarantine per government direction, and then even around the gaming houses, they were wearing face masks constantly and not really going anywhere, and they were playing all online. So, I mean, I think that's like the LEC laid out a plan that is optimistic, but also realistic in that if they have to scale it back and be like, we're definitely not gonna have fans, we're definitely not gonna have press, we're definitely not even really gonna have teams necessarily always on site. Like, I think they can do that, and that's what's cool about the plan that they proposed is, like, to Tyler's point already, like, it's really well thought out, it's really realistic, and it doesn't set, like, ridiculous expectations.
Something that was really well thought out and related to COVID, raising money for COVID relief, is the mid-season streamathon that is coming up very soon, May 29th, 8 p.m. Eastern. It'll be 48 hours of constant League of Legends content. We're going to see parts of the mid-season cup. The semifinals will be part of night one. We're going to see many different regions represented as well, including the VCS and PCS tournaments. Let me ask this generally. For people that might be on the fence or maybe not even familiar with many of those teams, myself included, full transparency, where are these regions right now in relation to the Major Four? Are there diamonds in the rough here that we should be paying attention to, or is there a large gap between the top four leagues and what I guess you could call the rest?
I think that VCS is actually not like... They're behind, but they're not super far behind. I think they're probably the most competitive non-major region. I would consider them and like Turkey and maybe Brazil, right? When I had that conversation. Brazil not right now, but yeah. But I would say VCS is probably the best non-major region. If we're not talking like...
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like the Talon Esports, I think is the PCS's best chance. That tournament starts tonight, by the way. I'll be staying up and tweeting about it if you guys want to talk to me about it. But I honestly don't know these teams all that well. Whenever I watch Vietnamese teams, though, it's like watching baby LPL teams, which I always really, really appreciate. And I think they do a lot of, again, like when I talk about LPL teams, I talk about teams that have really specific hyper-focused styles from team to team to team. I think you can also see that to a lesser extent in the VCS. So I think the teams that I've seen tend to have a pretty like set play styles that they like to stick to, and they're always really fun because they take risks, be it like actual like rule swapping between players or just lane swapping or the way that they attack early. I think that Vietnam, I would have to agree with Jacob from what little I've seen, and again, like I shouldn't be considered an expert in this whatsoever, but from what little I've seen, I think Vietnam is definitely like has kind of taken the place of what used to be occupied by the LMS. Because even Talon is kind of a collection of like LMS all-stars, right? You have, Hanabi, you have Candy, you have Unified and Kaiwing, who people will recognize from other teams like Fossils or Hong Kong Attitude. But I still think that, playing not against each other. Like the big thing about the LMS is that separating those teams allowed them to improve in kind of their own area. And now having rejoined, I think most of the LMS top tier talent did leave for LPL and LDL, but also you do have one team in Talon that could give other teams a run for their money.
So that's May 29th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead.
I was just going to say Decisions brought up CIS. That's another region I am forgetting. The Unicorns of Love look really good.
What a great name, too. The Unicorns of Love.
Previous LPS team, yeah.
Down to home in the CIS, like they have a really
very
cool
nice. So May 29th, 8 p.m. Eastern, that's when it begins, and there's going to be a whole bunch of programming from all across the world, including the mid-season cup semifinals, which begin at 10 p.m. Pacific time on Friday. And let's dive into that right now. 8 teams, 4 from the LPL, 4 from the LCK. Group A is Damwon, FPX, T1, and Top Esports. Group B, Dragon X, Gen.g, IG, and JD Gaming. So, Tyler, starting with you. T1, favorites in the tournament, or are you taking the field?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I think that they are the favorites, but I'm not saying if you're telling me T1 in the field, I'll probably take the field. If I'm doing a power rankings, yeah, I'd put T1 number 1, but I don't think they are such heavy favorites, especially with how stacked this field is. It's 8 of the best teams in the world. Maybe, Damwon's not that great right now, but 7 of the, best teams in the world.
I have no idea what IG is going to do, so.
Yeah, but IG still they have the shine rookie, right? So it's like, it's similar to Damwon, right? Where they have Showmaker and Naguri, so they always have that high ceiling, low floor. But I do think T1 should be coming in here as the favorites. But I think they have the news, right? Where T1's kind of found that mojo back. Kana's coming in at a high. A lot of people talk about how great Kana is, how good he looked against really poor top laners in the LCK. So now he's going into a tournament where he's going to be playing a lot of really good top laners, maybe even Khan, who's coming in for a bit of a revenge against his old team. You have, there's a lot better top laners like Zoom in the Shy in this tournament where Kana is really going to have to, step out, where I think the player to watch is him. Because if Kana can come in this stage and actually perform really well and T1 wins this tournament, then I think sky's the limit for the team, right? Where Kana coming into the season, we didn't even think he might be the starter. It was supposed to be Roach. Roach was that player that Coach Kim specifically picked out because he thought Roach could be, a really good player. He could, become a starter. But then,
Roach.
Yeah, RIP Roach. But then Kana kind of came in and was like, this amateur with a really, good mechanical background, but not a lot of experience, and he's just shot out of a cannon, right? And he's been that player that they've needed for, he's not relied upon a lot. He's a lot of times the weak side top laner, but he gets the job done. He can play Ornn really well. So if Kana can play the top lane and he can, go even with the Shy, and if he can even beat some of these top players and T1 can actually win this tournament, it means so much for T1 because Kana, I think for a lot of people, is going to be the player to watch because this is a make or break moment for him. I think if he shines in this tournament, he really should be called one of the rising stars in the world. Right now, I can't really call him that because the LCK top lane division is really trash. It's the worst it's ever been in the LCK. And this is someone from who's been watching LCK since the beginning and who follows the top lane, hierarchy in LCK like a hawk, like the Flames, the Marins, the Sundays, and it's just really bad. It's just a really bad top lane division right now in the LCK. So I want to see Kana step out and kind of prove himself as a world-class top laner.
Emily, how do you break down the tournament?
Well, we're just doing Group A right now, right?
You can take Group A or B.
Oh, okay. So for Group A, I'm going to give the shorter version of what Ashley and I went over slightly more in depth. I might do my own stream where I actually go super in depth and talk about
on the LPL show every Friday night, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I would do this on my own Twitch channel, but actually just go through early jungle pathing and stuff like that. But I think Group A is T1 and Top I'm looking to get out. I think Top is actually the LPL's strongest chance to win this tournament. That might be an unpopular opinion, but I think given the meta right now and the fact that they will have had more time with Jackie Love. I know we talk about all these top laners. 369 was my rookie of the year last year, first of all. He's still really freaking good, guys. So every single LPL team that is here actually has a pretty strong top lane outside of whatever is going on in FPX, which is not, I'm not singling out Gimgoon or Khan. It's just they've been swapping and they don't really seem to know what they want to do. I think it's going to be T1 and Top getting out of this group. I think that FPX is going to have to step up a lot to find their former form. I do think an in-form FPX is actually a really terrible matchup for T1 because they can attack them early really well, and then they can have that kind of three-man, you can't check a brush because it might be Tion, or it might be Crisp, or it might be Tion, Doinby, and Crisp all together anywhere on the map. And they used to play around that really well, and they used to attack teams early really well. So I think that actually matches an in-form FPX matches up well against T1. I don't think FPX are in form right now. I don't think highly of Damwon or KT, whoever had come out of that game. I thought was going to get annihilated by DragonX, and I actually kind of am sad that DragonX and Damwon went so many games. But anyway, that's kind of my assessment of Group A. I think T1 is still the favorite to win the tournament. I think you still would take the field because I don't think they're enough, to Tyler's point, I don't think they're enough of a distant favorite. Group B, I have no idea what's going on with IG. Leon just got let go, which is kind of a piece of news that I know we wanted to touch upon. So that's going to be interesting because they're going to be playing with Ning, who I actually think is technically his play style kind of fits what IG want to do more, as IG's kind of been torn between two identities this past year. I kind of hope Gen.g makes a resurgence. I really like Dragon X. I really love Dragon X actually right now going into this tournament. I think they could actually make a lot of waves, and they're kind of a dark horse to take it all for me. And then JDG, I'm really curious to see how they come into this event, only because I would argue that they have the best top jungle duo. I think Toothpaste Gao can have some champ pool issues at times. He looks really, really good on certain champions, but then outside of that, he looks pretty average. And then they don't play around their bot lane as well as a team like T1 or even Top does at times. And it's going to be, I think, a more standard bot-focused meta for this tournament. So Group B is kind of like I have no idea. I think Group A is definitely going to be T1 and Top coming out, though.
I think Group B is like the group where every team has something to prove, right? Like, I think that there's something here for everyone, right? So when I see like Gen.g, this is a team that organization's kind of like rebuilt and really heavily invested in the past like 18 months, right? Like after they acquired the World Championship Samsung lineup that then kind of flopped in their first season relative to how well they did the season before under Samsung. Like, to me, Gen.g has a lot to show that they can compete internationally here, and they're kind of...
and they just lost their coach. Like, their coach of, like, years and years and years and years, if you go back through Samsung. So that's actually really huge.
And DRX, right? Like, the thing is with Dragon X is, like, this is a lot of people made a lot of bets for this team, right? Like, CV Max, obviously, throughout the whole Griffin scenario, like, really highly criticized for potential or alleged player abuse, right? Like, we still don't know what the storybook ending on that's going to be, but and then also Chovy, right? Like Tyler and I covered this in bulk. He turned down $1 million salaries from NA teams to go play on this team and to play for CV Max, right? Like, so there's a little bit of like, I'm glad, actually, I just want to say this. I'm glad, I'm sad because of what has happened with the coronavirus, because it's affected so many people around the world. And I want to be very empathetic to people like who have struggled globally. But being able to see this style competition, and I know we would have gotten it to a smaller extent with Rift rivals, if not for what's going on. But like being able to see this, I actually think gets us a little bit of a gauge of some of these teams that we wouldn't have seen at MSI, right? Because MSI is the only best of the best. Now we get to see Dragon X, and we get to see Gen.g, and we get to see FPX, right? Like some of these teams I want to see more of on the international scale before Worlds. And we get to see 4 instead of 3, right? And in some cases of the LCK, which will only get 3 slots for Worlds. So to me, like, and then with IG, right? Like this is a team that has been historically one of the most successful in the LPL, has not been the most successful in the past 2 years since they won Worlds. And JDG is like super hot, but everybody is, people think they're good. But I think sometimes, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, because they're not one of those historic organizations within the LPL, I think people have their doubts. So I think that there's a little bit...
The West doesn't know of them, I'll say that.
Right, exactly.
The West does not know of JDG.
So there's a lot here in Group B. It's exciting for Group B because I think every team has something to prove to people on an international stage against, against each other.
We're going to get to our fantasy draft in just a second. We'll explain the rules. We're going to have a lot of fun. Before we do that, though, let's pick a winner of the actual midseason cup and why. Let's go around the horn before we end the serious portion of the Rift Rewind. Tyler, let's start with you. Who's winning the midseason cup and why?
I'm going to go T1 beating JD in the semis. I'm going to say...
Oh, wow, you're going the whole way.
Yeah, I'm going to say...
give us full results?
Yeah, I'm going to say T1 beats JD in the semis. I'm going to say IG somehow upsets Top in the semis. We had a T1 IG final.
No.
The final I wanted last year at World. I want the destined final. T1 versus a rejuvenated IG. T1 still wins. T1 versus IG final. T1 wins.
Okay, Jacob.
So we're gonna do my full bracket. I'll say T1 and JDG in the semis, in which T1 wins. And then I think on the other semi would be my thought would be Top versus Dragon X or Gen.g. I'm gonna go play safe here and go with Gen.g. Although, like Emily, I think Dragon X will do quite well at this tournament and could be sort of one to take it all. In that scenario, we get I think we'll get Top Esports versus T1. Because I actually think Top can overperform at this tournament, and I still would pick T1 to win, but I actually think they could have a really close series with Top in a final. And obviously, we'll Yeah, well, and we'll see Top and T1 actually play in groups, but I think that T1 will come out 1 and Top will come out 2, and then they could meet again in the finals.
Emily?
I think a peak Top esports could actually beat T1 pretty easily.
Exciting.
However, I actually, that's kind of the final I want out of here. I think given the state of the meta, these are two teams that can go really far in this tournament. And when I look at the Group B teams, like Jacob categorized it as the hungry group, I think it's like the question mark group, where I'm gonna really enjoy watching all of them, but like I have reservations about every single team here, right?
Yep.
For a variety of reasons.
They can be hungry and you can have your reservations at the same time.
Yeah, just it's like just draw a giant question mark. When Ashley and I were prepping for LPL show, our prep for Invictus Gaming, and the doc just said lol 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 lol. Yeah, I think I would really like to see a T1 Top esports. I think that Top, based on how they played in the final, based on how they've looked with Jackie Love, I think this is actually shaping up to be a pretty strong meta for a team like them. And it's just really going to depend on how many reps they've had with Jackie since finals. And whether, and I mean, again, I think, like, I hate to bring this up, but I think another thing that people are now starting to assign to Top esports, particularly Knight, is like, are you going to underperform in high pressure situations? Which I don't know if that's a fair assessment, to be honest, but it's something I've seen fans already kind of coming out and saying, just because Top has lost a lot of high profile best of fives.
Sounds like Chovy. They're best friends and they have the same.
I know, and they have the same problem. They're very similar. Yeah, they're both gamers, like with capital G. You have to pry them out of their chair to get them to stop playing solo queue.
A Faker versus Knight final, though, would be, I think, very fitting. I think
hype.
The old school god, the greatest of all time Faker versus what's kind of being anointed as like the next generation of League of Legends and Knight. You know, China trying to take over the throne from Korea, or they already have the throne.
They already have, yeah.
Yeah, Korea needs to, you know.
If you read the LCK franchising post, they can see that, right?
Yeah,
like
they want it back. I mean, North America has made an international final more recently than Korea, so that's all that needs to be said. That's all that needs to be said. That's all that needs to be said. Yeah, that's all that needs to be said.
Thank you, Mr. IG.
That's all. That's not all that's going to be said on this program. Those are our predictions. You can let us know in the chat who you think will win the midseason cup. But what we're going to do to round out the program is we're going to have a little fun. We're going to do a little bit of a fantasy draft, and with the players from the midseason cup available to us, we will draft our power teams, and we will draft a team specifically to be able to defeat the rest of the other teams. So this is what's going to happen. If you watch the last fantasy draft, very similar rules. Here's what's going to happen. The midseason cup, all 8 teams, all of those players are available. Throw language barrier out the window. All we care about is player, performance, chemistry, whatever intangibles or requirements that you have in terms of how a team will function and perform and be at their best. You factor that all in and you create the best team possible. You have to pick 2 players from the LPL, 2 players from the LCK, and then you have a wild card. And so the order of the way we will select, and it's going to be a snake draft again, so it's going to go 1 to 4, and then 4 to 1, 1 to 4, 4 to 1, alternating rounds until we're done. We're picking 5 players. And then at the end of it, just like last time, we're going to throw it to a Twitter vote. We're going to show all 4 teams, and we're going to say which team is the best. Now, this is the time where I remind everybody of who won our first fantasy draft. Can I get a round of applause from Emily, Tyler, and Jacob, please? Go right ahead. Please. Put your hands together for last. Thank you, Jacob.
My team would have actually won in a real tournament, but yours won in a popularity contest. Yours won in a popularity contest.
No. See, you are dismissing the value of my victory. I won fair and square by the rules.
You picked 2 of the most popular players in the world who have won world championships before that everyone on Twitter, particularly Western fans, know and like. Great.
Don't
great
hate
job,
the
Arda.
player, hate the game is all I have to say. But that's exactly what we're doing here. So now with that in mind, the order in which we will pick is as follows. Tyler, number 1. Jacob, number 2. Emily, number 3. Myself, number 4. That means that I have 2 picks back to back at the end of round 1 going into the start of round 2. So those are the rules. Twitch chat, follow along. Throw out some names. Who you would like to see us vote. Who you think is winning at the time. We're going to be having a lot of fun with this. So, Tyler, are you ready with your number 1 vote? First of all, are you going to be okay? Are you in good state of mind? Are you sound?
Super confident. I'm super confident.
We need some music for this, like some really like dun dun da da.
No, like I'm like it's not even like an overconfidence. It's just like a chill, like all-knowing vibe that I've won this already. So I'm good.
All right, well, that remains to be seen. 3, 2, 1. Your first pick is now. Who's first overall, Tyler?
All right. So last draft, I did a 5-head, I had notes. I predicted what you would pick, what Jacob would pick, what Emily would pick. I got the team I wanted. I had the Chovy top lane pick, which was so brilliant. Putting him and Knight together on a team. Amazing bot lane of Teddy and Core JJ. I had Yankos as the jungler. It was such a perfectly well-made team. I still finished in second place in the Twitter vote. You know why, Arda? Because you got the greatest of all time. I'm not playing any of these games. I know the plebeians on Twitter, all they see is one name. They're going to click. It doesn't matter if I put, 4 randoms. It could be Faker, me, you, Jacob, and Emily, and I'd still win the poll. So put me down for the number 1.
We would not win a tournament, though.
We would not win a tournament. But neither would Arda's team last time, and he still won.
That's true.
So,
they would all murder each other.
Yeah. So for the number 1 pick, the greatest of all time, the person I've written about probably for half of my life, 20,000 articles, Mr. Unkillable Demon King himself put me down for Lee Faker Sang-hyuk. Thank you.
That was to be expected. That was to be expected.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's interesting. I mean, you know what? You were so. This is. You see, you call that a 5-head play. I call it a 200 IQ play for me because I got you so mad. I made you so mad last draft that you had no choice but to pick Faker with the first. So you had the whole field available to you, and you go with old man Faker.
No, I have to because it's just like League of Legends draft, right? Like Ornn's boring. It's a boring pick. He can do a million things, but you have to draft him first. If Ornn's on the board, you pick Ornn first. It's not exciting, but I know I'm going to win. So I pick Faker. I win. Let's continue the draft.
All right. Okay. So Faker is the first pick. That means that Tyler has 1 or 2 more South Korean team picks available to him if he decides to use the wild card there. Mm-hmm. But hey, Faker first overall. Not a lot of people will say, okay, that's pretty appropriate. Others might, for example, in the chat, Tiltback says Kanavi or Kuz should have been a first pick. Well, let's see what Jacob picks. Jacob, you have the second pick. Go ahead.
Care in our chat. I take offense that no one else watches the LPL. I do watch the LPL, and I am going to. No. The person said that Emily was the only one that watches LPL, and none of us care. That is not correct.
Oh, I was gonna say I can't see chat. So.
And I picked this person in the last draft. I am going to pick them again because when I look at these players, this is by far the weakest position in my opinion. You could argue jungle, but I think top lane's pretty abysmal outside of like a couple of players here in this draft. And in that case, I am going to pick Zoom, the JD Gaming top laner.
I actually think all of the LPL top laners are pretty good outside of, again, whatever's going on with that.
I think they're serviceable, but I think Zoom is a cut above.
Zoom,
I mean, I've gone on record saying I think Zoom's the best top in the world, so.
Right now, the Shy when Shy still has a way higher ceiling. It's just the Shy's.
Shy is not having a good year.
Zoom actually leads all top laners available in this draft in KDA with 6.6.
My boy.
So that's actually a good pick.
He lost 2 maps the entire.
So here's the thing.
Since he rejoined JDG, they did not lose a series, and they lost. Yeah,
the 2 final matches.
2 final matches.
Chat thinks that jungle should be the pick, but in this pool is Karza, Klid, Cuz, and like, come on, man! Like almost
Kanavi, Piosik, Tion, Karsa.
No one's picking Piosik. No one's picking Piosik.
Piosik does not have my vote.
No, but like they're like serviceable. They're serviceable junglers. Like we all 4 could get a decent jungler. I don't think that we all four can get like some of the best top laners. There
so
are
who's
top
available
laners,
at top
but
lane?
yeah.
You have Chovy, Gimgoo. Well, Chovy if you want.
You can pick Chovy.
Gimgoo,
You can pick
Rascal,
Doran.
Deshai, Kana. No. Okay.
See,
fine.
in a
Well, I'm gonna leave
vacuum,
I'm gonna
like
leave that. I'm
as
gonna leave
long
that.
as you're like scrubbing your brain of the Shy's performances in his past 2 series, yeah, you'd go with that. I'm gonna pick Navi.
Wow, look at the insta pick. You see, Emily's insta
I mean,
pick
I was
makes
already
me
gonna
believe
pick-
that Tyler
I was
and
already
Jacob
gonna pick
picked wrong.
Navi. Yeah, I was already gonna pick Navi. So it's not
Wow.
like they
Did
took
you see
anything
the
away from me.
insta pick? Did you see how that was
That's
the fastest
fine.
pick in
That's
draft history?
Fine. Look, I will take Zoom and get like a more than serviceable jungler. There's like 5 or 6 junglers in here that are good. Like I would rather just but I would rather have Zoom over any other top laner in this draft, right? Like Kanavi is by far the best jungler. I agree, right? Like, but still, like there are good junglers in this pool.
I mean, wow. Okay.
Arda,
Okay.
You should pick the Shy next. Pick the Shy. Do it.
Should I go with GG at jungle?
I mean, honestly, the Shy in terms of popularity is gonna win you a
No, he's also the
I'm not
second.
even kidding.
He's also the second best
No,
top player.
I'm not listening to anything you say, Tyler. I know exactly what you're doing. Hey, Arda, pick Dardoch, man. He's a great pick. He's a great pick. Pick double lift.
I picked Dardoch over P06.
But you did pick double lift, and you won the last
Okay,
Twitter.
here's my strategy. I get to pick 2 consecutive because this is snake draft. This is my strategy for this. I think I'm going to pick AD and support back to back. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick...
Can I predict who you're going to pick?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to predict you're going to pick Teddy and Kyria.
I should pick Teddy. I could also pick
Yeah, that was Kyria, by the
Ruler.
way.
I could pick Ruler and Life.
Kyria is insane.
You should pick Ruler in Life. That's
See,
a
no,
great
this
choice,
is what
Arda.
I want to do. What I want to do is no. See, I don't believe you.
You
At
should
all.
pick Kyria. Yeah, I think you have flexibility on AD carry. I think you should pick Kyria. Like no BS.
What I want to do is I want to pick an established like I want 2 players that work very well together in bot lane. That's what I want.
Dragon X bot lane. Literally Dragon X bot lane.
I like how Arda's like just thinking this out. He does not have his pick set.
No, I don't. I didn't. I have the list available to me, but I want to. Okay. Well, I'm not picking. No, I'm not picking Teddy. Okay, I'm not picking Teddy. Who's T1's support?
Effort.
Effort's not really.
Pick Effort. He's great.
No, he's not. Can we mute Tyler for my pick, please?
Wait. There's a wonderful Chinese AD carry that is available in this pool that you could also pick with Kyria.
Kyria is a good pick.
I know. Pick LWX.
It feels like you have to pick it.
Pick LWX. Yeah, he's a world champion.
Oh, Tyler, shush.
He's trying to... He's a world champion.
Wait a minute. Hang on a second.
I feel like
Oh my god, do we have a timer? Come on. Like,
Hey, I'm within the rules
you
here.
way
I
more
can take my
time than
sweet
any of
time.
us. Come
I
on.
can take my sweet time here.
No, you can't. We're supposed to have a timer for this.
Who's the is the chat, is the bot lane for JD good? Like, is that worth picking both of them? I'm gonna enlist chat's help.
Oh my god, no.
Yes,
They're talking about Jackie Love. God damn it.
No. Pick LWX.
Jackie Love.
Oh, what about Jackie Love and Crisp would be insane. What about Ricardo?
Jackie Love and Kyria. Arda.
You can pick Chris Poo. That's good too.
Wait, Chris is insane, guys. What the heck?
Yeah.
Don't
Kyria
on
and
my
Teddy.
Chinese players.
Hey, I am not dunking on Chris, but
All
Kyria.
right. It's time to pick. You've
Come
gone
on.
all...
Come
Okay,
on,
I got Teddy as my first pick. Teddy, I'm going Teddy. Okay. We're going Teddy. And with my second pick, I'm going Kyria.
Nice.
So I literally predicted what you were going to predict like 5 minutes ago.
That's correct. You did.
Thank
So
you.
those are 2 South Korea picks.
There they are. They're gone.
All right. Emily, back to you.
Jackie Love.
Emily is super
taken my
fast
advice.
picking everything, and she's going to win this
Shouldn't
draft.
take my
I
advice.
don't second guess myself.
So that's 2 China picks for Emily. That means that you have to use a wild card.
Emily's
2
gonna
South
fail
Korea
to
picks for me.
Emily's going to legitimately build a real LPL team. 2 South Koreans and 3 Chinese players.
Jacob, you're up.
All right. So this feels like the moment I should pick my jungler because I have a feeling that what I want in AD carry will get through later in the draft. And I'm okay with even if I don't get what I want AD carry. So in this case, I'm going to pick Tian as my jungler.
Solid. I respect that.
Tian will be my jungler. So
Okay,
there's my
FPX
there's my 2 Chinese players, Zoom and Tian.
Okay, you got top lane and jungle done. I have AD and support. Very good. Okay, this is coming along nicely. For people asking in the chat, after the second round is over, we will go to graphics showing you exactly who has picked whom. Tyler, you're up.
The Shy. That's easy. I win. Give me the Shy. Still ceiling-wise, he's still the best top laner in the world. He ints a lot, and he's having a poor season, but it doesn't matter. If I still had to pick one top laner to have in a best-of-5 series, I'm still picking the Shy every time. He's still, I think, mechanically, it's him or Smeb for the best top laner in history of League. I still give it to Smeb because Smeb has longevity, and Smeb inted less than the Shy, but I still think Shy is so young and he still has a long career trajectory. I think by the end of his career, he'll be by far the best top laner of all time. So give me the Shy. And then for my second pick...
Wait. I want to show everybody what we have right now so far. Yeah. Jared, if we're ready with the... okay, we don't have all the graphics just yet, but let's just go through some of the picks so far. Tyler, you've been really chirping me. I'm taking offense to it, actually. My feelings are hurt here, and you're really trying to get into my head, and I don't appreciate it, man.
I didn't get in your head. I literally predicted the 2 players you picked right before you, right as you got the pick, and then you waited 5 minutes to pick the 2 players I thought you were to pick.
I just don't appreciate this behavior, and I just think that you can, learn a thing or two about manners.
No. I'm from NA. We don't have manners here. We're toxic. we AFK in games, and no one ever bans us, and we ruin server experiences. That's just what NA is.
See, Antwanter1 says Faker is about the 5th best mid right now, so fair enough. But we all know that, remember, in order to win this, we're going to put our Twitter teams... polls. Exactly. Yeah. We're throwing this up to Twitter.
I have no doubt that I'll put together a great team. I also have no doubt that it will not win Twitter poll.
Kanavi and Jackie Love is a pretty strong top start. 2 right now. That sounds like an excellent
not gonna
start.
Win a Twitter poll.
I don't know. Okay. So... we're going to keep going, actually, and we'll show you a team so far. But I have them written here, but we will show you graphics later. So Tyler so far has Faker and The Shy. Jacob has Zoom and Tian. Emily has Kanavi and Jackie Love. I picked Teddy and Keria. Tyler has the next pick. We're on to round 3. Who you got?
Let's see. I could literally pick anyone at this point. I just win. I'll go Deft AD carry.
Okay.
Again, another player like Shy, the Shy who had a pretty ho-hum spring, nothing too great. But I think at his peak, again, he is up there in the top 3 best AD carries of all time. I think it's probably him, Bang, and Uzi battling for that best AD carry of all time role. And you can you have your own, values of what you think is the best, right? But those 3 are probably the best of all time right now. So, and Deft at his best is still a monster. He had a pretty season, but he'll turn around the summer. And also, he's very popular, so that's also a good addition to my team. So,
okay, so now you have 2 South Korea picks. Jacob, you have also two China picks right now. So either you're going to use a wild card for your 3rd China pick, or you're going to go South Korea. What do you got?
I am going because I was interested in Def, but I am going to go ahead and pick mid because I feel like now is a good time to do it, and I'm going to go with a Chinese player. I'm going to go with Knight.
Mm-hmm.
So as of right now, my team is Zoom, Tian, and Knight. Which is a solid
esports.
Start.
Nice. Yep. Indeed.
And I have bot lane left to fill.
Okay. Excellent. So there's Knight statistics right there. As you can see, KDA is in the top. I believe he was 5th among mid laners in our draft. Part of that top esports squad. And that's a good pick. It's in the 3rd round, mind you. That's not bad. To get
good
Knight
value.
in the 3rd round.
Good value.
Good value. It's a good value pick because Knight usually could be a 1st or 2nd rounder, but now we're getting some value there for Knight.
It just felt like top lane was like to Emily's point, it felt like top lane, like there are serviceable above average players in this draft, many of those. But like Zoom was such a clear cut. So I'd rather like prioritize him over everyone else.
I mean, Zoom can 1v9 on Ornn or Gangplank. So
there you go.
Will you pick a similar player, Emily?
You draft him Ornn or Gangplank. I'm going Chovy.
There you
go. The Chovy. See, that was
Is he top?
I debated between Chovy and Knight.
Is he put him top?
Or is he? I still haven't picked top laner yet.
I was going to pick Chovy and pull the whole Tyler card where I can put him wherever I want. But you just picked Chovy. Super. By the way, can we just say that Emily's combined response time is like 0.5 seconds?
I got to keep this moving. You guys are...
Mine is like 5.5 minutes and yours is like 5.5 seconds tops, which is hilarious. So you have Kanavi, Jackie Love, and Chovy, which actually sounds like a that might be that's actually a pretty I don't know, Tyler. That's a pretty good team.
I still win.
How about this? You know what I'm gonna do? I know who I'm picking.
Need to like go vote for my team.
I know what I'm doing. There's one pick here still that is a meme pick and also a Twitter favorite pick. And that is our world champion mid laner, Doin B.
Man.
With my 3rd round pick, I select Doin B.
You ruined
the marriage buff.
I love Doin B so much. He's so hard to fit on a team.
I was going to put him as my jungler. I was
gonna throw him somewhere.
No, he's played jungle before. I could put him as my jungler. I was gonna put him as my jungler. So you stopped my Exodia from happening, Arda. But
how about that? Doin B, the marriage buff. Let's go, buddy. So now I'm back in it on the Twitter poll, on the Twitterverse.
No, you're still
I am back in the game.
No, you still
Teddy, Carrier, Doin B, baby. Let's go, world champs. All right.
You know what? Say Teddy, Carrier, like I know you don't want me to analyze your team actually.
Go ahead, please do.
Carrier is a really good roaming support. He's really smart about it. If he can synergize with Doin B well, like they could fit together. And Teddy is really good at playing weak side and coming out ahead, or just playing evenly and then coming out ahead and an insane team fighter. So Carrier can leave him and roam with Doin B, or Doin B can just run bot. Like that's not a terrible situation to fit Doin B in, because I think Doin B has a very hyper-specific playstyle that only works with certain teams.
Okay, so I have another pick here. I have 2 South Korean players in Teddy and Carrier. I have one Chinese, one LPL player, I should say, in Doin B, and 2 LCK players. So that means if I want another LCK player, I have to use my wild card, and I have the top and jungle positions to fill. Who is available? Kana is available. Gimgoon is available. Rascal, 369, Duran, Nuguri are all available. Jungle, Kuz, Klid. Tian is not available. That was selected by Jacob in the 2nd round. Karsa, Ning, all available.
You're going to pick Klid. Just pick Klid. You're going to pick Klid.
Why would I pick Klid? Why should I pick? No, you know what? No. I'm not asking you any questions, Tyler, okay? I'm not. No, I'm not.
All right.
I'm going to pick...
Karsa.
See, I feel like this is tough. Emily, would you entertain a trade for Chovy?
No. Nope.
What can I offer?
Nothing.
Is there any world where can I Venmo you some money?
No.
Oh wow. Bribes in our draft.
369 is my pick.
What?
Not bad.
Okay.
Why not?
I mean, it's not going to win. That's not going to win a Twitter poll, but I think 369 is very underrated by the Western community, people.
No, I mean,
369 is my pick. That's going to be my hipster pick. That's my hipster pick. That's my hipster pick of the draft. I think that he, as you can see, he was pretty good in KDA in top lane. And I think that that's going to be the pick that people are going to look at and be like, wow, you know what? Him and Doyne B and the rest, and Teddy and Carrier, that's a good roster.
Wait,
so,
don't we?
I
love
369.
Wait, but don't we have don't we all have our top laners picked already?
I don't.
No, I don't.
Oh yeah, I mean Emily doesn't. So I mean Emily could have taken 369. So.
All right, so I have two LCK players, 2 LPL players. Emily, you're up.
I am going to go with my wildcard pick. So I'm obviously going 3 LPL players. What kind of person would I be? What kind of LPL fan would I be if I didn't? I'm going Crisp for my bot lane.
Man, he took my support.
Who was that? I didn't hear that.
Crisp.
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 FPX
Okay.
From
Crisp.
Fun Plus Phoenix.
Okay.
So I've got Kanavi, Chovy, Jackie Love, Crisp.
That's a great
Nice
team.
roster. Nice roster.
That's a great team. That's probably the winning team, honestly. No offense to the rest of you, but that sounds like a winning team to me. Jacob, you're next.
I don't know which one I want to pick first. I don't
You
think
can't pick 369. Sorry.
I already had a top lane. What are you talking about over here? I have the best top. I have the best top laner in the pool.
He has the best top laner in the tournament.
If Shy's
Unless you want to like swap him mid for some godforsaken reason.
No, I have a mid laner already too. I've tried to fill out bot lane here. So in bot lane, I'm gonna go ahead and pick the forever stable franchise player of gen.g, Ruler. I'm gonna pick Ruler as AD carry.
Honestly, it's kind of, I think it tells you about the bot laners in this tournament that Ruler fell this like that far. It's not even like he had a bad split. He had a really good split. Same with BDD. Actually, there's a lot of recency bias here, to be quite honest, from the finals of both major regions.
So Tyler, if you can pick Life with one of your 2 picks, that would be great to split up the gen.g bot lane there.
I'm not picking Life. I was actually looking at if I could flex any random players into the support role.
Are you just looking up everyone's LOL game videos? If they've ever played another position?
Yeah.
I just see Tyler like looking it up on his phone, being like, okay, like who can I swap for like the 5-head play?
That's I was trying to look for the 5-head play. I think I'm just gonna go with Lamau. I think he's the best.
Lamau.
He's actually a really good support. He's not the sexy pick. Like no one's Twitter plebeians probably have no clue who he is. So that doesn't.
You should watch his Bard play. He has the best Bard play I've ever seen in my life.
I was saying it. It was either him or Ning. I was gonna put Ning as support. Haven't played Jarvan support, but I'm just gonna go Lamau and then.
I'm really, really happy you picked Lumao over Ning support. Not
you
would have broken my heart if you'd picked Ning support.
It would have been really funny though.
Your last pick, right. Tyler?
Let's go through the junglers. Canyon, no, he is the most coin flippy. He's even more coin flip than Ning, and that's a lot. That's saying a lot. He actually won MVP. No one remembers that. So no. Piosic, no. Clid, no. Ning, no. Tian's gone. Is Karsa still on the board?
Yep.
Yeah.
Karsa's still on the board.
It's either Karsa or is it Cuz? Do I do the Cuz faker or do I do the Karsa?
I feel like there's a very obvious answer here.
Cuz and faker go along so well though.
Yeah, that's why Cuz is the obvious answer.
They go along so well. They play so well.
I love Karsa, but I would pick Cuz in this situation.
Yeah. But that's a boring pick. It's such a boring pick. Ugh. Let's see. Can I put like Life as my jungler? No. Let's go. Let's just go Cuz. I win. Yeah, give me Cuz. Him and Faker play too well together to actually. I can just pretend he's Bengi.
Okay.
That's my team. I have the Shy. Cuz, Faker, Deft, and Lamau. So
there you go.
We'll take a look at the. We'll show you the graphics at the end with the completed rosters. Jacob, your last pick.
My final pick is going to be Life. I feel like that's like super easy to just go for. You know, I now get the gen.g bot lane with a really strong top side of the map when Zoom Tian and Knight. So I get the Korean bot lane and really strong LPL top side of the map. So I'm happy boy.
I like your team a lot, Jacob. Actually, it's a good. Yeah. That's a good lineup.
I have prioritized Zoom twice now in 2 different drafts, and
I'm proud of you.
Paid off.
I'm very proud of you.
So,
Emily, how will you finalize your championship-winning roster?
So for me, it came down to 2 top laners, one with more experience than the other, and I'm actually gonna go typically like so. If I was like, this is my one like appeal to the Twitter vote, right? Because if I was going with the team that I would actually want to build, I'd go with someone like Hana, who's a little bit more green. The rest of this team can help him fit in, etc., etc. But this hypothetical team is only going to be around to win the mid-season cup, so I'm going with Naguri.
I like it. Naguri is a...
Not that Naguri is bad, but like he has a very defined play style, right? So
I mean, you should have done the Tyler like troll and just flex Chovy top and taken Rookie and BDD, and then everyone would have.
Oh yeah, that would have been cool. That would have been cool. That would have been good. That would have been good.
Mid, actually.
Yeah, that's what I would have done with Chovy. I would have flexed him up top. Yeah,
flex him up top. I think Chovy's like similar to Naguri. I mean, I think if like Chovy actually like played top lane and actually practiced it more than a few weeks, he's mechanically gifted. Him and Naguri in a top lane.
The only thing I'll say is Jacob, you better not be flexing Knight top lane.
Yeah.
I'm not. I got Zoom. I'm happy.
I will say this. I believe Naguri is the first Damwon player that's been drafted.
As he should be.
I think he's the only Damwon player that's going to be drafted.
Yeah,
unless I decide to take Damwon's jungler, who's still available.
Oh yeah, you're looking at a jungler, right?
I'm looking at a jungler.
Candy's not bad.
Can you go either?
So, all right. So I actually have 2 LCK players and 2 LPL players, so I can pick anyone. So
there's
Kuz
a really
is probably,
obvious pick.
Kuz, Karsa, Klid.
I picked Kuz.
Kuz, Karsa, Piosik, Klid, Canyon, Ning. I just want to mess with Tyler, like screw you, and I just pick Piosik just to upset Tyler.
Klid or Karsa are the only 2 options here. I'm sorry.
Well, I have a top. Wait, hold on a second. So Klid, I don't have a gen.g player.
Pick Klid.
Or
Pick Klid.
Or do I pick Kuz because I have Teddy?
Yeah, Kuz is off the board.
Kuz and Teddy? I pick Kuz. Kuz is my pick.
I already picked Kuz. You can't pick Kuz.
Off the board.
I picked Kuz.
Oh wait, who picked Kuz? Oh, you picked Kuz. You did. I hate you. What are you doing? Why are you messing with my team?
He's screaming that he picked Kuz at you for the past like minute.
I wasn't hearing him. I thought he said pick Kuz. I'm gonna pick. You know what? Piosik is my pick. Thank you very much.
Oh my God, Arda.
I got Piosik. Thank you, Piosik, for letting me win the mid-season cup, baby. Let's go. Or wait, can I pick Rookie and play him jungle?
No, he's never played jungle before.
He's not played jungle. I'm sure he has in solo Q1.
He's never played a professional game in jungle.
Yeah. Look at Piosik, my award-winning jungler. Let's go. All right, let's take a look at the graphics momentarily once we got them ready. This was a draft, folks. This was a draft. I
think we can all say that I won.
No,
I think Emily won.
I feel like my team if no one would want to play my team in the tournament. If all 5 of my players are actually like in good form, I don't think anyone wants to play my team. So I think Emily's team.
Somebody tell me what chat is saying because I can't see it because my computer.
They're flaming me and saying I went from first to dead last. Piosik is hot trash.
I don't think Piosik is hot trash, but I think he's really young. And he makes a lot of mistakes.
He can play Kindred. He can play Kindred really well. So
I think it was a bad pick when you had both Klid and Karsa.
I think realistically, if this was 2020 League of Legends, Emily and my team would be the final. If this was
Team Negative Gaming 2.0 versus Team Taco Bell 2.0.
No, You guys really underrate my team. You underrate. If my team is in good form, they're not losing, and no one would want to play.
Your team is washed. That's the problem.
Faker just won another championship. I know we joke about how like Faker isn't like the best mid laner in the world.
I just have a feeling that. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I think that Tyler has the Faker.
No, but here's the funny thing. T1's gonna win the midseason cup, and we're gonna come back and be like, that Faker guy, like he's not a top 5 mid still. Like Faker wins. He wins tournaments. He wins real tournaments. And
yeah, when's the last time that happened besides LCK?
What? Wow. So 2 years ago? Like over 2 years ago?
Been a little bit.
2017.
It's been a little bit.
It's fine.
It's been a little bit.
No, 2016.
I'm not a Faker hater. Chat, thank you very much. Hey. I have met that young man, and he is a very, very nice individual, and I root for his success. However, I also don't think he's the best top laner. The best mid laner in the world.
He's definitely not the best top laner.
Not the best mid laner in the world.
Faker does not need to be the best mid laner. He just has to be the best He has to be the mid laner on the best team.
He has to be the best memer, and that's what he is for the purposes of this tournament. You know who else wins tournaments? Doinb.
Yeah,
so take that.
You won Worlds.
In fairness, the first time he ever won something that was an IAM clone was last year's LPL finals. Previously, he was known for inting in playoffs, or his teams were. I wasn't on him solely, but just throwing that up.
I'm fine with the inting so long as there's a championship in hand at the end of it.
I think all these picks were really good except Piosik. That was one of the worst.
I mean, we had an insane pool of players to pick from. Piosik is straight up running it down. I agree.
That's a really...
Listen, we're going to let Twitter decide, okay? You guys are just haters as far as I'm concerned. Piosik is going to be a dark horse, and Piosik's the kind of player that is going to level up in this tournament. Piosik is going to be the one that we are talking about after this tournament concludes.
Piosik is the Vulcan. Piosik is the Vulcan of Korean junglers in this tournament. Goes to international competition and has a massive buyout. At the end of it.
Has like a 106 KDA. Is that or that's Ben? But yeah, whatever. Has a great wins LCS championships. Listen, it's all good.
I think any of these players could win an LCS championship.
No, in a sense, I see Arda's angle though, right? Like Arda knew he wasn't going to win the Twitter poll, so now he goes in the midseason cup and he has a storyline, right? So if Piosik does well in the midseason cup next week, Arda's not going to shut up about Piosik. He's gonna.
I'm gonna buy a Piosik jersey if that happens. Are you kidding me?
I'm
gonna make a promise, chat. Yeah. If my team wins the Twitter poll, and feel free to try and make it happen if you want to see this happen, I promise you I will buy a Piosik jersey and wear it for like the next 3 episodes of Rift Rewind. I promise you it's going to happen. At least it's going to be in my background. And I'm going to wear it with pride because Piosik will have won this draft for me. That's why.
Hey, Dragon X could very much win the midseason cup. That is not out of the question of possibilities. I think they're not a bad team.
No, I mean they're a really good team, but they have a substandard jungler who's the one we're talking about in this situation. So,
hey, you never know.
Piosik again. Like I agree. He is a very raw jungler. Junglers are the worst to transition from solo queue to pro play. He will probably become a very good jungler, maybe even a world-class jungler. But to pick him over Karsa or Clid is...
Yeah, it's the context,
It's 200
right?
IQ, like, thank you.
Picking Piosik may be okay if he's like one of the last options. Picking Piosik over Karsa or Clid, that's where it's like, okay, Arda, did you have some sort of
the other 200 IQ move is that Twitter will not know that. All they will see are the 4 teams, and actually we have the graphics for you, so let's go through them. We're going to start with Jacob. Here's Jacob's team. Jacob's team consists of Zoom, of Tian, Knight, Ruler, and Life. So a nice team there, Jacob. When you look at that graphic, when you look at your team, what comes to mind?
I mean, I think I have like maybe the strongest top side of the map of these 3 teams, at least in terms of consistency. I know Emily has a really strong bottom lane in Crisp and Jackie Love, which I kind of forfeited getting Jackie Love in favor of getting my top side of the map. But like, yeah, I have Knight and Zoom and complemented by a pretty solid jungler in Tian. So I definitely think that my top side of the map is where I'm strongest. I do think that Ruler and Life can kind of be flippy floppy, but like, I don't know. I believe in Ruler enough. He's a world champion. He's been fairly consistent throughout a lot of his career. So yeah, that's my my top side was big priority in this.
Need to be 18 says Jacob has a questionable bot, but he has the best top side.
That's about right.
Nice. All right, let's take a look at Tyler's team. Tyler's team consists of the Goat Faker, the Shy, Deft, Lumao. How do we actually pronounce that?
Lumao.
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 It's Lumao.
I like saying
It's
Lumao.
not Lumao. It's Lumao.
Lumao, and Cuz.
Cuz.
How about that team?
It's going to win the Twitter poll. And I do think in a hypothetical tournament where these teams are actually real, I don't think any team would want to play these guys in a real tournament. I bet if you sat down with the other teams, they'd be like, we don't want to play the Shy and Faker in a best-of-5 series. I think all 5 of these players are grinders. I don't think, unlike Arda's team last week where Doublelift and the Shy would have killed each other, I think the Shy, Deft, and Faker would all like playing together because they're all tryhards. So I like my team. I don't know if they would beat Jacob or Emily's in a, right now inconsistency in just terms of like if they played right now. Don't know if they can win a best of 5. I knew they will in a Twitter poll, and I know that if they were all playing at their best peak, Deft and the Shy, I still think this team wins a tournament. So I'm happy with them. I last time I went the 5-head route. I poured into stacks and just create the best team possible. I had the 5-head Chovy and Knight solo lane destruction squad, and I lost. I got second place. So this time I sold my soul out for a Twitter vote, and I've done it, and I will win. And I'm very proud of it.
Let's take a look at Emily's team here. And this one, I think many people will consider to be, at least on paper, the front runner going into the Twitter poll. You got Kanavi, Jackie Love, Chovy, Crisp, and Nuguri. Emily, how happy are you with your team?
I'm very, very happy with my team. This is exactly who I wanted. I went with a different strategy this time just because I think the meta is going to be a lot more bot lane focused. So I really prioritized on having a strong jungle pick and a strong bot lane. I don't know. I think my team is fire, honestly. I think my team is like great. And here's the other thing. I also think as much as I have said that Kanavi typically really likes to play kind of more of a farming style where he groups up with the team later on, right, in team fights. He is not past being able to be in lanes really early. And so I think that can also work in your favor, especially when you have laners like Chovy, Jackie Love, and Nuguri, who are all known as being, really, really strong lanes.
All right, and finally, my team, it consists of Teddy, Carria, Doinb, 369, and the GOAT, Piosic. May I say that here's the thing. So Doinb was a defensive pick against Tyler. It was simply to troll Tyler because I knew that if he got Doinb, that would be way too much meme on his team, way too much social media clout.
I already had my mid. You had
you could have pulled some weird lane swap BS. He was playing like one game of jungle in some weird team.
I was, but you didn't know that.
So you played yourself, Arda.
Yeah.
What happened you played yourself.
Yeah, I ran Faker. There's no way you thought I was gonna put him in jungle.
Pick is just, oh god.
So anyway, those are our teams. I'm sure that Twitter will let us know who they like the most. But that about does it for us here on the Rift Rewind. Thank you for joining us for the draft special. There's going to be a poll put up on Twitter where, like I said, if you want to see me spend some unnecessary money, you can feel free to vote for my team, and I'll happily wear a Piosic jersey on the Rift Rewind. In all seriousness, thank you for joining us. We broke down a bunch of news as well. If you're joining us in progress, you can check out the VOD once this show is over. We're here every single Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, every single week to break down all things League of Legends, including the 48-hour stream that's coming up and the mid-season cup like we just did as well. If you want to keep it going, every Friday, trivia night. You can challenge Emily, Tyler, and Jacob. We all play through an extension on Twitch, so everybody can participate. Everybody can declare themselves to be the winner, and you will only be subject to Tyler's trolling maybe once or twice, depending on how well you do. So there's that. But anyway, that's it for us on the Rift Rewind this week. We'll see you next time.
I didn't know Piosic was your cousin, Arda.